Hi guys, David Fine here from Watch Your Lip. This is our Fast Fish Beach Fishing series, our how-to on all things beach fishing, helping you become a successful beach fisherman. Today we're going to learn about how to use the speckled crab for bait. Guys, a lot of people don't realize that using a crab for bait can yield major fish. We're talking permit, tarpon, cobia. Guys, check this video out to learn how to find, catch, and use crabs to catch big fish on the beach. Soaking crabs for bait on the beach can be one of the best ways to yield big fish, guys. It takes some patience. You're gonna strike out a few times, but guys, if you put a crab on your hook, you let it soak, and you spend some time, you're gonna hook up and you're gonna hook up big. That's a promise. So guys, here's a few tips on how to catch crabs. The crab species that we're focused on and is the staple diet of particularly of permit on the Southeast Florida beaches is the speckled crab, otherwise known as the calico crab. It's Arenaeus crabrarius. Guys, it's a sand crab. They live in the sand. They have that brown shell with the little speckles on them, and they've got those big pinchers. And if you've spent a lot of time just swimming around the beaches in South Florida, you've probably stepped on one. You've probably gotten pinched. They're all over the place. They come in and they spawn in the late spring, early summer on the beaches in South Florida. And when they do that, they are everywhere. They're very easy to catch. You just got to know how to find them. So, guys, they live actually in beaches all around the United States on both coasts, Pacific and Atlantic. A lot of people don't realize that. And they live all the way out to several hundred feet of water. But we find them very commonly inshore in the spring and summer on the southeast coast of Florida. And boy, do permit love them. All right, finding speckled crabs is very easy. They're scavengers, so all you need is a dead piece of fish or a piece of raw chicken or something like that. And if you have a crab trap, that works great because you just put your crab trap out in the surf. I'm talking in like 2 feet of water, 3 feet of water, right in the surf. And you put your chicken out, or you put your fresh cut bait in the crab trap, and they're going to come usually within a few minutes. We have our first speckled crabs. And so these crabs, guys, when you're harvesting them, you might want to look for the gravid females. They have on the underside, you might see some of them have this great big pouch of orangish reddish eggs. And so sometimes if you guys want, you can release those big females so that they can release those eggs, and we can keep our speckled crab population good and healthy. They love fresh fish. So one of the best ways to attract speckled crabs is if you catch a blue runner. They love pilchards. So if you get a bunch of pilchards and kind of like cut them and put them in a crab trap or wire them together somehow and put them in your trap, the crabs will come running. They pretty much jump in the trap for some dead pilchards or blue runners. So a lot of times they'll find the trap, but they don't make their way in the trap. And so a great way to harvest a large number of these things in a very short amount of time is literally to have different bait stations or traps. And what you can do is you bring a mask and snorkel and a pair of gloves, because you're going to need those gloves, trust me, and maybe a little dip net. And the crabs will find the trap, but they can't find the entrance to the trap. So you just kind of go swim back and forth to your different bait stations, and you'll find them. A lot of times they're so enthralled with the bait that you can actually pick the trap up and they'll hold on to the bait and they're trying to eat it. But you scoop them up or grab them with your hands. They do scurry away pretty quick once they get scared. So you got to be quick with the net. You scoop them underneath and you're good. What size crab do you use? I like anywhere from a 2-inch crab all the way up to a 5 or 6-inch crab. And some people might think, Dave, that's a huge piece of meat. And I would say, yeah, but permit have a highly developed crushing system in their jaw. They have these crushers that they will suck this crab in and crush it, and they literally just pop the shell off. It's funny how they don't have hands, but they can pop the shell off. They pop the shell off, and they'll eat the meat from the inside. It's a really interesting thing to have you put your crab out and you have your hook in your crab shell and you reel it in, all you have is a shell left. Well, that's because a permit found it and it crushed it, popped the meat out, and left you with only the shell on your hook. It's happened to me more than once. These things are great. Like I said, anywhere from a 2-inch to a 6-inch crab. Bigger the bait, bigger the fish. And guys, here's the deal. We've hooked up big to some really, really big fish using these crabs as bait. Permit aren't the only things. There's tarpon, there's cobia, spotted eagle rays will grab onto them. And when that happens, I hope you have some very heavy tackle, because those things run, and we've actually gotten spooled several times. I'm guessing it's from the spotted eagle rays that will grab onto it, and you hook a big ray and it's like, oh my goodness, hold on. But there's a lot of things that will actually eat these crabs, and it just takes some time. And I think that's the reason why so few people use them, is because people aren't willing to invest the time. And you got to soak them there, man. You got to put them out. You soak them on the sandbar or just over the sandbar. Try and get them out a little bit. You're going to hook up. They make great frozen bait. I mean, Dude Purdick and I actually caught a pair of permit on one day. It was on a Memorial Day weekend, where we caught both of these permit on frozen crabs that had been in our freezer for over 6 months. And we had frozen them and unfrozen them, thawed them out, used them for bait, frozen them again 5 times. So they were 5 times refrozen, and we got 2 permit on those very old and very frozen baits. So they make great bait. And also, if you're making shellfish chum, which we like to make our own chum, if you're making shellfish chum, if you're having the claws or the other pieces that you're not using, or if you just want some fresher crabs and you have these old ones that you've refrozen a number of times, you can crush them up and put them in a chum block, and they work awesome. So guys, where to hook them? That's a challenge, because their shells are very, very tough, and preparing a crab bait for the hook is actually very interesting. This might sound kind of cruel to you, but in the world of fishing, the thing's going to get smashed by a permit anyway. So why not help the permit out a little bit, help our cause? What we do is we take the pinchers off. A lot of times when they'll actually release them themselves, and I don't think they grow back, but they'll release those pinchers, because if something grabs a hold of them by the pincher, they release it and they can live without their pinchers. But we also pinch the diggers off. The hind legs of the crab have these big paddle-shaped appendages. Those are diggers, and that's what the crab uses to, they dig themselves underneath the sand and hide. Well, we don't want our bait hiding from our fish, so we pinch those diggers off, and we pinch the claws off. And then what we'll also do is we'll take a pair of pliers and we'll snip the end of the shell where it comes to a point, and we'll snip that off and give a little bit more of a scent in the water. And that might sound cruel to you guys, but guys, that is the best way to prepare a crab bait for a big fish. And so you're removing all the obstacles and all the defenses that the crab has to defend itself. So it is what it is. That is the natural world. That is the fishing world. But where do I hook them? Guys, when you're fishing with crabs, you're not dealing with fish with teeth, so you don't need a very heavy leader. In fact, I wouldn't go heavier than a 40-pound test leader. Permit they have these great big eyes. They can be a little bit leader shy. So the lighter the tackle, the better. I go with probably a 40-pound leader, fluorocarbon leader. Use a pretty big hook though. And reason being is you got to get through that shell, and I use a circle hook, and when we cast them out, we leave our reels in gear, and when the permit comes and they crush the crab and they start to run, it's that circle hook, and when they start pulling against the tension of the rod, they'll self-set the hook on themselves, and then they're hooked. But boy, when the permit hits, it's like a freight train, so it's awesome. We'll hook the crab in one of 2 ways. We used to cook them like kind of in the corner of the shell over by where the point is. I've stopped hooking them there because I wound up getting left with only a shell. Many times a permit will crush your bait, take the meat, and leave you with the shell because the hook isn't actually in the meat. I've switched my tactic and I now hook them back in where the digger leg, on the hind leg, there's a joint or there's a space in between the shells, in between the top shell and the bottom shell, where there's a soft spot, and you can stick the hook, the point of the hook, inside of that joint, and then you can wiggle it up through the top of the shell and right in the middle of the shell. So literally, if the permit grabs that thing, the hook has got to be inside of its mouth because it's literally in the middle of the crab. We've had a lot better of a hookup ratio, hooking them in through the joint of the hind leg and out through the top of the shell. So guys, that's pretty much it. You soak those baits, you're going to hook up big. I hope you have some heavy tackle, and I hope you are paying attention, because when a permit hits, it's like exhilarating. So guys, I hope you hook up. I hope you catch a nice permit or a cobia or something like that from the beach. That's a day you'll never forget. Hope you liked the video. Give me a thumbs up if you learned something. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications and comment down below if you learned something. What did you learn from this video? Or what do you want to learn next? We'll make some more videos and we'll put them out there. Guys, we are going to help you become more successful beach fishermen. So guys, God bless. Take care. I'm going to get back to drinking some coffee. Let's get out there and rip some lips. Watch your lip.